Alrighty, hello, my friends. I hope you are doing well. You know what? I recognize I did not do my 5 minute warning. There we go. Let's just do this live now. Over on. There we go. There we go. Food safety. All right, my friends. Here we go. Oops. I mean, Lord knows stuff doesn't happen. It doesn't happen on social media, right? Okay, so welcome. It is Thursday. Things are going super awesome. Lots of crazy things going on over this place. I think I may have made a bartering a sort of thing with another business to help food businesses worldwide. So that might actually be pretty cool. So it's raining and crazy here, and we're in the, I don't know, third or fourth week of our confinement. Maine is now actually under a stay-at-home order, so I think I'll stay at home. As opposed to what I do every day, right? And so I want to welcome you to today's live. I'm so happy that you're here, that you are beginning your quarter with me, and that you're tuning into these because it really does make a difference. I love the feedback that I'm getting. If there's something you'd like me to talk about, I'm happy to address it. I've come up with sort of a curriculum, which I think I talked about a little bit, but it's the curriculum is sort of based on all these sorts of different areas of our lives, focusing on a few key areas that my really focused on. And of course, these are 7-day-a-week lives. And on Mondays, we go live at 12:30. And I'm talking about food and weight. Tuesdays, I'm talking about alcohol and drinking. Wednesdays, I'm talking about work, in-house work outside the home, or whatever it is, however it is that we're work for a paycheck versus not work for a paycheck. How about that? Because it's actually not defined by our homes, really. Um, then on let's see, what's today? Thursday. We are talking about incoming money, and on Friday we are talking about outgoing money. On Saturday we are going to be talking about parenting, and on Sunday we are talking about relationships, because all of the stuff that I talk about is based on our relationship with ourselves. And so I really want to start the week off on Sundays, noon on Sundays, right? Talking about our relationship with ourself and our self-identity, and then our relationship with others and all of that sort of stuff. As I was telling my 12-year-old, as he's going to be 12-year-old on Saturday, that unless he loves himself, there's no amount that mommy can love him into loving himself. The joy of tweenie boppers, right? And so today, what I want to talk about is we're going to have a conversation about money. So we have a conversation about money twice in a week, okay? Because money is a very, very big conversation for most of us, whether you are in business or whether you are not in business. Everybody's having a lot of conversations about money. And I have probably some slightly different conversations about money than other people do. First of all, I was an econ major, okay? And if that doesn't teach you different things about money, I don't know what teaches you different things about money. But so there's that. But then that also, it's also about how I grew up around money, how we all grew up around money. And that's what we're going to talk about today, okay? So, like, there's a lot of ways that we have a conversation about money that we don't really know and we don't really understand until we start thinking about it. And we don't think about our past about money because we want to go back and fix the past, because that's not possible, all right? It's not possible to go back and fix the past. And as Oprah says, forgiveness is stopping trying to achieve a more perfect past. And that's true about your relationship with yourself, about relationships with your kids, and anything else that you have, including your relationship with money, okay? And I know for a lot of people it doesn't really feel like that. And it didn't really feel like that to me for a really, really, really long time, okay? And so my the way, like if you look at life coaching and you look at like money advisors and people who work through money issues with people, and there are a lot of people who have money issues. One of the first things that you do is you start thinking about what is your historical relationship with money. And this is a great journaling exercise. And I wouldn't really spend a whole, I mean, you can spend a long time, ask me how I know this, a long time talking about your relationship with money. And I think that that can be useful. I think what's more useful is identifying that you do have a relationship with money and that you are not your bank account, you are not your credit card statement, you are not like any of that sort of stuff. Money is a noun, okay? Money is, in our parlance, money is a circumstance. Money is completely neutral, okay? And if all you learn in our time together is that money is neutral, I will have done my job, right? Because for so many of us, money is really fraught, okay? And all the ways money comes in and goes out is really fraught. And I think it's important as we are going into this next phase of our national development. Okay, so I'm speaking primarily to an American audience here, right? Though I do have people overseas who listen. And for America, I mean, the joke goes that everybody in America thinks that 200 years old is old, and everybody in Europe thinks that 200 kilometers is really long, right? So we just have different perceptions of what old means. Like 200 years ago, like I was reading a book, and it was talking about, I forget which book it was, but it was talking about building your business for the really long term. And you know that symbol maker, I'm going to say this wrong and I'm really sorry, but Zigulgin symbols or whatever, and they've got the like Arabic looking script. Well, it's an Arabic company. It's 400 years old, right? So they've been making symbols for like longer than we've been way longer than we've been a country. There are so many companies that come from that side of the pond or from China or that side of the Pacific that are vast. The companies are older than our nation, right? And so our current economy, as we have defined it, we had the World War II economy, we had the post-war economy, we had the Cold War economy, okay? And then we've had, since the Cold War ended, we have been trying to find our way in our economy, and frankly, we haven't. Like, if you look at it, frankly, we haven't. I got an economics degree during that time, right? And I think that when my kids are in college studying econ, which I hope one of them does, they will look at the period of time between when the Berlin Wall fell and Marshall Goldman, my professor, crafted perestroika with the premier of the Soviet Union, Mikhail Gorbachev, and the wall came down, right? And all of the work that they all did in creating a new economic reality through the Great Depression, through, the monetary instruments that we've all developed, all the way up until now. Okay, because I think right now we are at an inflection point in our economy, and I think our economy is going to be vastly different. I frankly think it's probably going to be better for a lot more people, because we are going to realize an awful lot of things. I believe in the New York Times today, 6.6 million people last week filed for, or this week, filed for unemployment. So this week's unemployment numbers are up. That is the high, like I said, I think yesterday, the high for unemployment applications in the height of the 2008 recession was 625,000. So this is literally an order of magnitude more, and that number is going to go up. It's likely to go up to 2 orders of magnitude, okay? To give some context, at the height of the Great Depression, we had 25% unemployment. Before all of this happened, in communities of color, the unemployment hovered somewhere between 7 and 8%, and it was a complete crisis in those communities. I mean, 7 to 8% unemployment is a crisis in any community. And the unemployment rate for the country averaged out was 3.5%, which is what we call below the natural rate of unemployment, which is 4%. And I'm not going to go into economic theory around the natural rate of unemployment, but that's all to say is that we have a zeitgeist. We have a conversation that we have about money, okay? And in economics, we talk about macroeconomics and the big picture, all right? And then we talk about microeconomics and the little picture. Now, I studied microeconomics with Chip Case. Many of you who were ever in the home buying market know him from the Case-Shiller Index. We lost Chip a couple of years ago. He was a Vietnam vet, and he probably died from cancer or from exposure to things in Vietnam. But he was a brilliant mind, and he talked a lot about how we make individually rational decisions. Microeconomics is the study of how individuals make rational decisions. You might notice what that presupposes. That presupposes people make rational decisions. And I think that you and I know by now in our life experience that presupposing that human beings make rational decisions is perhaps not what we might want to build economic theory on. Right. Now, I never went on and got a PhD in economics, and I know behavioral economics has come up and is trying to find paradigms within which to account for actual human behavior versus theoretical human behavior. Right. But I have a way easier. I was talking about this with somebody this time last year on campus, and talking about like what behavioral economics is, and it's really acting out the feelings that you have based on your thoughts. That, my friends, is behavioral economics, and that's actually what we're going to be talking about. We're not going to be talking about it under behavioral economics, but that's really what it is. And so how you act with your money is entirely dependent on how you feel about your money, and that is entirely dependent on what you think about your money, okay? But you don't know any of those things until you know what your money is, okay? And my journey on this, you know, I always thought myself pretty good with money, and I always was. I mean, I've never not filed my taxes. I remember sitting in my dorm room. I don't know. I think it was probably, yeah, it was senior year of college, and I filed my taxes, and I owed like under $1, which means you don't actually have to file. But my mother was like, you should really file your taxes because you need to like develop that history. And that actually right now is incredibly important. People who did not file 2018 taxes are going to be significantly delayed in getting their stimulus checks. And so I filed my taxes, and I remember like putting a stamp on that, like increased my tax return by like 30%. That's how little taxes I owed, right? And I thought it was all sort of hilarious. I opened up my first retirement account with my very first paycheck when I worked for Amoco Oil out in Denver, when the Amoco building was the tallest building in Denver, right? And I was all super very proud of that. We had, you know, my dad got taught by his dad that you only spend 90% of your paycheck. You always save 10% of your paycheck. I was able to do that because I was single. I was living in Denver, and I promise you, Denver was wicked cheap. I lived in what was it, Crystal Creek, and it was cheap. What can I tell you? And I worked for an oil company, and I was able to save a lot of money. Right, and I had certain ways that I thought about money, about how money should be, what should be paid, how things should be paid, okay? And I went through the rest of my, 20s thinking about that, but then I went back, I went to the Peace Corps, and there was whole many conversations around Peace Corps and government funding and all of that sort of stuff. Came home, came to a place where I had money again. And then I went to graduate school, right? And for anybody who's ever lived through the poverty of graduate school, like I made so little money, I qualified for the Earned Income Tax Credit, which was great. I thought the Earned Income Tax Credit was awesome. And because I was broke and I wouldn't have eaten. And one of the things I did while I was in grad school was get an Army scholarship because they paid me $1,500 a month and it made a really big difference. Like it made a really big difference. And so I was able to get through a lot of that. And I'm not going to lie, like I'm white, we are upper middle class, and my parents were there to back me up. Okay, and I recognize that that is not a conversation that everybody gets to have. And I have had conversation with other Wellesley colleagues about the lack of family safety net that families have. And that's an incredibly important conversation when you are looking at your history of money, is to look at your familial obligations and your familial transfer of money. Okay? Because historically, the familial transfer of money has only really been easy in Caucasian, in white identifying communities. If you want to find out more about this, I urge you to go read up on something called heirs property. So that's H-E-I-R-S property, heirs property, all right? There are significant conversations that we need to have as a country around intergenerational transfer of wealth and how that happens. And so when you are having your conversation and you are telling yourself the truth about where you are with money, okay, and that's what today's conversation is all about, is where are you with money? What is your truth about money? Okay? Part of that conversation that you get to have is, what is your family truth about money? How much intergenerational wealth is allowed to be transferred? How much intergenerational wealth got squandered by lousy planning, by other people's thoughts, right? I have a joke with a college classmate of mine that someday we're gonna sit down and we're gonna write a book called The Almost Heiress, right? Because both she and I almost came into significant amounts of money, but for how other people thought, how other close blood relatives thought. Right? And all of that frames your thinking around your money, okay? And you can do a ton of reading about how to make more money, what to do about more money. You will, when you do this, you will run into the law of attraction, okay? I haven't done a whole lot of thinking or introspection around the law of attraction. I know that it is out there, but I also know that it works because it works on changing your thoughts. And when you change your thoughts, you will change your reality. I do not believe saying I'm abundantly profitable makes me abundantly profitable. What makes me abundantly profitable is figuring out what thoughts and feelings lead to the actions of abundant profit. Okay? Because that's my goal. Like, I have it sitting right up there underneath my camera, where I'm usually, like, I have two cameras, the computer camera and the screen camera, and it says I am developing the capability of building a massively profitable business, because I am developing that capability. I don't have I have a great business. It's not massively profitable. Can I tell you? I've still beat the odds, right? Because I'm in business after 8 years, but we're all developing our capabilities. And right now, the very first step in understanding your money, and the first step for me in understanding my money, was developing the capability to see my money as neutral. Okay, that the money is just neutral. And I know this can be very, very hard for people, but I urge you to maybe think the thought, I'm developing the capability to tell myself the truth about my money. Okay, and the truth about your money is not I'm horrible at money. That is a thought about your money. The truth about your money is what's in your checking account if you have a checking account, what's in your savings account if you have a savings account. Okay, and that is your current reality around money. Now, there are other realities around money, and I basically have divided this up into quadrant, and I will actually, give me a second here, I will draw this out right here, because I I did this as like a quadrant when I was thinking about this, right? And this is in large measure based on how we do accounting, okay? Because I assure you, you pay your taxes based on how you do accounting, all right? And so we have incoming money, right? And we have outgoing. Now, you have short-term, all right, or what we call liquid, or, you know, whatever you want to call it. And we have long-term money, all right? And these things are fluid, okay? These are not brick walls here, okay? And so your short-term money is the stuff that you have that's immediately accessible and available, okay? So your short-term is your checking account, it's your savings account, all right? And it's all your, it's like the short, so if you have money, for heaven's sake, we have money in a CD. That's long-term money, okay? Now, the other thing that I want you to think about is your credit right here, how much you have, your credit lines is actually short-term money, right? It is a more expensive form of short-term money, all right? Checking and savings has a set of expenses associated with it. We call that expense work, right? You trade time and money. We call this expense an interest rate, right? To get the money in your checking and savings account, you put in work. To get the money out of your credit accounts, you add an interest rate. You borrow at an interest rate, okay? That is your incoming money. That is your reality. If you have a credit card, that is money for you to spend, okay, on that credit line. Whether you have the money in the checking or savings is an entirely different conversation, but that is your truth, okay? And so an exercise for you to think about doing is to say, okay, what do I have in checking? What do I have in savings? And what are my credit lines? Do I have a home equity line of credit? What are my credit lines at my credit cards, all right? That is all your short-term cash. That is your cash position, by and large, all right? Yes, it can get more complicated, but it doesn't need to be more complicated for our purposes, right? And then you have your short-term outgoing money, all right? And that is bills this month. Bills this month, or, you know, like the short-term bills, we save up to pay our bills. So, like, for example, my business saves, I think my Kartra system, so it's like my business content management, I think it cost me $1,400 a year, and so I save over the course of the year, and I put that in a bill to myself for this month, okay? So your outgoing money is your bills this month, and then if you spend anything in cash, you know, you buy in cash. I know a lot of people buy in cash, but you've got to, like, account for that right there. All right, so that's what you got. That is short term, okay? What is your truth around incoming and outgoing money in the short term, okay? And you just pull this stuff up. It's tax season anyway, right? And you're probably looking at it, and just write it all down, okay? And then we have long-term, right, which is retirement savings and other illiquid, it's called, and other illiquid savings, right? So this is liquid, this is illiquid. The assessed value of your property, not your Zillow value of your property, all right? Now, if you are underwater on your house, the assessed value of your property is actually over here in the liability. All right, short-term assets, so assets, liabilities, okay, property. If you rent, okay, you have rent due every month and you don't have a corresponding asset over here to offset that rent. Your car payment, if you lease your car, that's outgoing, that's an expense, right? Do you have an assessed value of that property against the outgoing long-term Loans. So that's like mortgage loans, car loans. If you are leasing your car, you don't own that. You don't own that. That's 100% expense, which is why we lease, but you have no assessed value on that property, even if you pay taxes on it. That's fun, right? And then any other long-term debt, like student loan debt, or debt to your parents, or debt to medical debt, all that sort of stuff, okay? Of course, these things we have hopefully money flowing in here. Hopefully we have money flowing out of here, all right? Because the idea is we grow our assets, all right? And we decrease our liabilities in some level, okay? And one of the you know how I talk about building assets, okay? This is what everybody talks about, okay? But when I'm talking with my clients about the asset scale, this is actually of 6 assets. This is number 6. And over on the on this, so this is for business. This is the 6th asset, and I will tell you the least important. This is also the least important asset in your own life, which is why it's 5. The personal scale is only 1 to 5 because you don't have employees. But this is your 5th most important asset, right? So your 1 asset is your own brain, guys, right? You manage your mind. You can do anything in any of these quadrants that you want. And that's where we're really getting to, okay? And that's really, guys, by and large, where I have gotten to when when I say I am developing the capability to build a massively profitable business, it's because I've developed the capability to create a break-even business, right? I didn't go from like starting a business to being massively profitable. I went from starting a business to being a break-even business to being a profitable business, and now I am moving to a massively profitable business. As an adult, I did not go from being somebody who was an adult about my money and managed my mind around my money. I mean, when I was single, my biggest expense was like yarn and books, for heaven's sakes, right? It doesn't take a lot of mindset management to manage that. My mindset management was all about, like, who am I going to find to date? And so it was a completely different focus on assets, right? And so where I have moved is being a person, and this is just adulthood, right? Being a person who had a reasonable amount of money and not a whole lot of long-term debt. Somebody who took on debt to go to grad school, like a lot of y'all, and then traded work to finance that debt. I joined the Army, right? And then took on more debt. We bought a house. We did all of these adulting kinds of things. And I'm not going to lie, it's really been because of investments I have made in the business. We have really fairly recently learned how to kind of live break even. Isn't that an amazing thing to like admit in the universe? We've learned how to break even, and you know what? Feels a hell of a lot better than being at a loss every month. And you know how we did it? By telling ourselves the truth, right? Until I learned to tell myself the truth about the money in my business and how profitable I was and that I was breaking even and not a profit and all of that sort of stuff, none of this changed. But when it did change, when I did decide to tell myself the truth about that, everything changed. It has been one of the fastest things that has changed. My relationship with money has transmogrified way faster than my weight. Like, it took me 2 years to lose, not even quite 2 years, but 2 years to lose 85 pounds. My relationship with my money in my business, for example, changed within 5 months. Completely changed within 5 months. My level of profitability changed within 5 months. How I am working on paying myself back in my business has changed. All of that sort of stuff has completely changed. And that has allowed me, because I'm the source of income into the family, to change the level of income into the family. And that has made a significant, substantial difference. And I think for those of you who run small businesses, I think you probably recognize that journey, right? I think that's a fairly recognizable journey to everybody. All right, and so that is the overview, okay? And so here's my recommendation. Your homework, if you will, is figure out what is your truth about money. Just go and figure out what your truth is about money, okay? And tomorrow we are going to talk about what, how to recognize that truth about money, how to see where you are and decide what you want to change and to go about changing it. I am not doing budgeting with you. I will tell you we use YNAB. You need a budget. I think it costs $84 a year. If you are interested, DM me and I will send you my affiliate link. I don't even get the affiliacy. Like I pay for it through my bookkeeper, so like she'll get an extra month of YNAB. But it is, I mean, like a lot of this has come not only through the thought process, a lot of it has been through the thought process, but it's been through implementing the systems at YNAB. You need a budget is what that's called, okay? And so tomorrow we are going to continue to talk about money, and tomorrow we're going to be understanding what the truth is of your money and then what you think about it and how you feel about it and what you want to do. Okay, so if you want to take advantage of that, that's what we are doing. That's what we are doing tomorrow. Okay, I will see you at noon Eastern tomorrow. You all beautiful, amazing people. And if you have questions about how this works on a business side of the house, come join me at the Proofing Box. And I'm totally happy to talk all business things over on the Proofing Box, which is like the group, the private group that's associated with the business. All right, I love you all. If these are helpful, share them with somebody. Give us a subscribe on YouTube so I can like actually get to 100 subscribers, because I know 100 people are watching, so I can name my channel. Goals, my friend, goals. All right, have a beautiful afternoon. Love you all. Bye-bye.